Okay, so number one, hi. Number two, go watch the Hilaria Baldwin casting for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills video. Holy moly. What a weird casting choice. No thanks, Kyle. Oh, gosh. Anyway, watch the video. I spill some tea about Hilaria Baldwin that you maybe don't know. And it's kind of a fun way to learn about some things you don't know about her in the process of hearing about the casting gossip to do with Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 14. And no, it isn't a joke. All right. So let's talk about Vanderpump Rules tonight. Something was confirmed. If you've been watching my recap since the beginning and my gossip dumps, you know that I felt that Tom Schwartz was leading Jo along. And unfortunately, being that I spent 23 plus years in Los Angeles, I'm really familiar with the way guys work there. The truth is that Schwartz is emotionally unavailable, and he's become so corrupted by Los Angeles and being a television celebrity and reality star and caring about like what his guy friends think about the girls he's with, that he is going to end up dating a girl that's going to probably be like a supermodel girl. So Tom Schwartz is going to flounder around till he finds a girl that he likes the idea of, and that's who he's going to fall for. But she won't be the right girl. But the idea of her will be enough to perpetuate him into a love affair. That's what's going to happen. And she's going to be hot, super hot, like out of his league hot. Yeah, telling you, that's what's coming down the pipe. Now, he's been seen with some girls already, but Schwartz is very wishy-washy, so he won't be able to keep a hot girl very long, except for his TV show status, which will give him a pass for a while. Yeah, that's how it works in LA. I should write a book, really. So Lala Kent and Brock Davies have been, asking the hard questions and hanging out with the wrong people this season and losing friendships in the process of trying to make TV. And Andy Cohen came to their aid today. It was pretty obvious. So usually when Andy Cohen drops tea, it's self-serving. So I guess it was getting to be too much behind the scenes because Andy Cohen went public today on his show on Sirius Radio and said this.
And I got to tell you, I said something very offhandedly on this broadcast about 3 weeks ago that has just been clogging up my Twitter timeline ever since, and not in a positive way. And that is that I believe that I, again, kind of offhandedly said that Lala and Brock are the voices of reason this season. Well, people are doubting my sanity, and they also just think I'm a horrible person for saying so. Let me just say, again, I'm enjoying Lala and Brock this season. There are two things that I think that are connective tissues for me with Lala this season. The first is that I remain very impressed by her sobriety and her commitment to it. And I think it's admirable. I think it's admirable in life. And I also am always impressed when people choose sobriety and continue to take part in a reality show, which I think is probably can be triggering in all sorts of ways. And so I always am really impressed when someone on one of our shows gets sober and remains sober. I think it's so great. And then the second thing that I connect with Lala about is her journey as a single mom.
Okay, so really quick, you guys, did you catch the two things he relates to Lala about? Seems like a very big shift, doesn't it? Well, this message is for the patrons, the diamonds. We know why Andy is connecting with Lala on those two things, right? Remember the gossip? Yup. Bingo. And also you'll notice that Lala Kent dropped the sex of her baby in a big way today on an interview, or at least it was circulating on social media today. She said, I had a baby girl. So she's got a second baby. Congratulations to her. But I'm sure the timing of announcing the baby's sex was now because she needs to get a little love and affection, right? We say to everybody, we used to have a saying in the publicity world, right? Like if you have a scandal or a problem, right? Grab your kid and pop a picture up of your kid, or you holding your kid, or your baby, or whatever it is. Why? Because it makes people go, oh, but she's a mom. Oh, but she is a baby. And everybody softens right up. So anyway, I saw her doing that today and I was laughing to myself. So, and I'm sure Lala also wanted to share that she's having a baby girl too to the world. And of course, we see her go tonight on the episode to a sperm bank as she's understanding the process of being sperminated. I just made that up. Okay. Well, another thing that happened on today's show is Jo finally showed off that she's a good hairdresser. She showed us her hair with the braids that she loves to do. And she dyed Tom Schwartz's hair blonde like Ken from Barbie. And I have to say, I liked the bleached blonde hair. A lot of people made fun of it, but I thought it livened the guy up a little bit. Of course, it's similar to my color, so what does that tell you? But I was happy with that hair color, and I'd like him to go back to it and get rid of like the brown. I agree with James on the brown. It was like an aimless brown. Just like a sad, boring, tired brown. Not like a colorful, shimmery brown or, you know, beautiful, healthy brown. It was just like a poopy brown. Dye it back. Oh my God, Ryan Bailey, I can't unsee this. There's Tom Schwartz in all his glory with his hair not looking so good at that moment in this picture. He does look just like Kate Gosselin, but try to imagine it's styled a little bit different. Okay, I have a lot of surprises for you guys in this one. Let's start the recap. I buried the gossip in the recap. All right, so then Tom Schwartz meets up with Tori Keith. This is Tori. We've seen her hanging around Sheena Shea from time to time on Vanderpump Rules. And he offers to buy her Prosecco. She wants champagne. She says, I want to go on a date with you, Tom Schwartz. And he's like, okay, I'm down. And then all of a sudden, Katie Maloney walks up and she flirts with Tori. And then they end up flirting and getting drunk. And the next thing you know, Katie is got game and she kisses Tori, and Tori and her actually have a good kiss, which was surprising because actually Katie had better game than Tom Schwartz. I'm not going to lie. So then the introduction of Tori is made and we see Tom Schwartz on a date with Tori and we see Katie on a date with Tori, and Lala Kent thinks that's really weird that they're both dating the same girl and she calls it out. I don't think really anything serious came of it, but, you know, at least for a fling, that's what happened. Then we see Lala and Ariana and Sheena sitting off to the side. And Ariana really, I think, had a real breakdown because Lala is saying things that triggered her, and so is Sheena. And they're doing it under the guise of being good friends. But what's really happening is they're saying the worst things to her to make her cry, essentially, is what's happening. And so Ariana starts to cry. Obviously, the triggers work, as they almost worked on me. And I'm not even going through what she's going through. And she really has a real breakdown, and then they comfort her, and they pretend like they didn't try to cause the breakdown, but they did, and she cries it out, and that's it. But look what Bravo and Blaze found. God, what a gem. They found this old gossip blind item from August 11th, 2023, and no, this is not NT blind item. This is a different blind item. One of the guys just came back from the bathroom absolutely hammered. Sandoval is here. Sheena and Lala are consoling Ariana right now, and Ariana is on and off crying, and she keeps saying, quote, he shouldn't be here. And production stepped in to calm her down. And my sister went to the bathroom and saw Tom Sandoval flirting with a girl at the bar. And now about 4 new cameras came in. So we think they're setting up for a scene where they see each other. The girls are saying to Ariana they know the girl who had the affair, Rachel, was sleeping with more than just Tom. So now they are getting up for a new scene. And then Ariana goes, can they keep our nachos here? Must have been damn good nachos, right? But this gives a launch pad for Lala to be judgmental, which is what she likes to do because then it gives the fans something to talk about. So she says, like, Ariana should leave the house. How dare her not leave? I don't want to hear her bullshit anymore. There's no reason for her to stay around Tom. If she's unhappy, she should go. And Sheena's like, I think she's embarrassed to live in an apartment because she derived a lot of power from that house. And so that's what it's about. But what we know it really is about is that Ariana doesn't want to lose rights on her house by moving out because she owns a large percentage of the property and has a bunch of money tied in it and has given loans to Tom Sandoval, none of which Sheena Shea or Lala understand because Lala didn't own her house with Randall and Sheena is really the sole owner of her house. Brock doesn't own it. So none of them know that feeling of like, I've got to fight for my asset, right? I'm not saying that they didn't go through traumas with their previous people, but I'm just saying like, it's a very different thing. But I don't really understand why they took that angle. It was a weird attack on Ariana that I didn't totally get. Coca Macoca made this really great montage. Oh my gosh, so good.
I do come from a family that does have money.
Tom Sandoval is not going to leave, okay?
Then why should Ariana?
She doesn't have to, but don't say you're not leaving because you can't afford it.
I don't know what kind of money Lala also thinks I have.
Well, I saw it. I looked online. I read it.
So the money was tied up into the house and the deals that she was making during Scandival.
Bullshit wasn't. Money's not.
All right, well, look, I don't know the financial details, okay?
This is a very large investment that I've made that I saved essentially my entire adult life for.
I wasn't directly affected by it. It was a trigger for me, but it did not affect my life. The amount of money that we made on Send It to Daryl is pretty mind-blowing. It allowed me to pay the down payment on my home.
He created this situation, and now I'm scrambling, trying to get my together to be able to, in a financially responsible way, move on to the next step.
My mother pays my rent. I don't pay any of my own bills. My mom takes care of that too.
The Range Rover came from your mom?
I have the Range Rover now.
The housing thing is complicated, you know?
It ain't that
and if the rules were
It ain't
switched...
that complicated. It ain't that complicated.
Situation where she got out the next day with the baby. Lala didn't own that house, like, at all. So she was able to pack up her stuff and say goodbye. Yeah.
I did not own the home with my person.
Right, exactly, so that changes things.
It doesn't change anything, actually.
Yes, it does, because she owns it with Tom, so they were trying to figure that out in the beginning.
It's time for Ariana to pull her head from out of her own ass. She needs to come back to reality and remember who her friends are and what they've done for her. It's time for Ariana to return the favor.
Paid the down payment on my home.
So Jo didn't confront the girls that were being mean to her at Hotel Ziggy, which I told you would pretty much guarantee that she would be fired off the show. And that's pretty much what we're getting a drift of now. Because they want the altercation to happen. If you're not brave enough to do it, or you don't know the assignment, even though you're not a trained reality star, they don't really guide you too much. So you're out. You better come natural. So anyway, but she goes to the hot dog stand, Tail in the Pup. God, I used to love that place. It's not the original one. It's a different one. And they order hot dogs and they sit down. And Lala asked Jo straight up, did you know that Tom Sandoval was cheating on Ariana with Rachel Leviss when you were doing all these dates with them? And she said, absolutely not. I was only looking at Schwartz. I wasn't looking at Sandoval, and I thought Ariana and Sandoval were over. Now, to be fair, I've heard from people in production that they also believed Ariana and Tom Sandoval's relationship was over because they weren't spending any time together, really, but it hadn't been officially done. It was definitely on the rocks. And I think what I've said in the past is what really hurt and surprised Ariana wasn't so much Tom Sandoval and the relationship blowing up, because I think she felt it coming, but it was Rachel that he chose her. Like, if he had chose somebody else, maybe not so bad, but it was her particularly that destroyed Ariana's soul. All right, so remember when Tom Schwartz went on Watch What Happens Live and lied to all of us and Andy Cohen about what he knew and what he didn't know to do with Rachel Leviss and Tom Sandoval? Well, I'm going to remind you of this. He said, just for the record, that trip was mine and Tom's trip. I told Jo to come up later, and she smuggled Raquel in. So smuggling is concealment. So Jo did know. Jo Weinberg knew something was not right. What was I to do at that point, he told Andy Cohen. I knew that they were in love. Schwartz compared Leviss to contraband before continuing, at that point, also I was under the impression that he was more or less broken up with Ariana. Andy was in love with Rachel. So Jo looked the other way because she really liked Schwartz, and that's the bottom line. And she was friendly with Rachel Leviss and not friendly with Ariana Maddox in the same way. So anyway, while Tom Schwartz is getting his hair bleached, Jo asks if she could go with him on a singles dating night at Mondrian with Tom Sandoval and the rest of their gang, and they're all trying to get hooked up. And so Jo asks to go, and when she gets there, she says, no, I'm single, we're both single, and she's trying to do what I think she's been trained to do by Tom Schwartz instead of saying the truth. And she's dying inside because she really likes Tom. And then they give her a bracelet, and everybody got the green bracelet, which says you're single. And they walk around the party, and women are throwing themselves at Tom Sandoval and Tom Schwartz. Not because they're hot, but because they're on TV, for Christ's sake. So let's not call it what it is. That's all. That's the reason. And then at a certain point, one girl comes up to Tom Schwartz, and she's drunk, and she's kind of hurling herself at Tom, and she forces her tongue and literally tries to eat his face. It was so gross. Even he was grossed out. He pulled away. It was so nasty. I mean, she was drunk. We'll forgive her, but and so then, God, she must have died the next day. Oh God. Anyway, so then Schwartz knows that he hurt Jo. So Jo leaves upset again. She's just too emotional for this show and this whole thing. And she takes off. So this is the beginning of the end for Jo. Then Jo goes to Tom Schwartz's house the next day, and he's really committed to telling her that he has no interest in her being his girlfriend, and he wants to set the record straight and not be wishy-washy and be we are not a thing, we're never going to be a thing, and even though it's been really fun and we've said a lot of stuff, it's over, basically. And Jo is I don't want to be friends, this is killing me, I just want it to be over, you're torturing me, and I just need this to end. And she cries on camera, and it's real. It's a real breakup that they're doing on camera. And then she's I want to call my dad, and Tom Schwartz feels bad, and he tries to follow her out to make her feel better. But there's nothing he can do to make her feel better because he's already screwed it up, because he made her fall in love with him, and then he selfishly kept her around as a friend, and then didn't give her anything and broke her heart. Can I tell you? Selfish. Very selfish. So there's a lot of kind of BS scenes. They're playing golf, they're doing paintball, all to have little conversations, no drama really happening. To push the storyline a little bit down the path here, Ariana's saying, I countered Tom Sandoval on the house, but this was my dream home. This was something I put all my money into, and I invested so much in our relationship, and it's just devastating, and blah, blah. We hear it again. And then what happens is the girls meet for a night out at a bar, and it's Katie, Lala, Sheena, and Allie, and they're in this dive bar, and Katie and Lala start to get into it because Lala admits that she went to lunch with Jo, and Katie's I don't get this. You're really inconsistent. you are jumping all over the place with your loyalty and I don't understand it and you're supposed to be my friend. And they fight again. Now they fought a few times over the season, which is not like them. And so what we're getting a sense of, I think, is Katie is realizing that Lala rewrites history over and over again to suit her. And that's really tough if you're trying to be consistent in your own character on a show, right? So one person's trying to be who they really are, and another is rewriting history to serve their purpose for that moment. Yeah, so that's that. I think Katie's done for a little bit with Lala. I guess Lala burns people out, but that's also what makes her great TV. I do try to be fair on my channel, maybe too fair, some people would say. All right, I want to hear all your opinions now. You guys don't have to be fair because, Jesus, just let it rip. All right, like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. And share the channel. Yes, Mama's got to eat.